Hello everyone. I have Anand here with me. So, Anand is an experienced data scientist, and we will be discussing about his technical expertise, his experience, and his knowledge in data science and AI. So, just starting with Anand's introduction. Anand, would you like to go ahead, please?
Yes, Aman. Uh, I'm Anand Raj, working as a data scientist. I have worked on 5 projects in data science, and
Okay.
then I have I have involved I have involved all the life cycle of data science project life cycle
Okay.
of data science. Uh,
Okay. Very good.
yeah.
So, Anand, can you take any one of your project based on your choice? Like you
Mhm.
said, you have worked on 3, 4, 5 projects. So, any one
Mhm.
project you can take and explain me end to end, like what was the business problem and what was the solution approach and what was the outcome delivered. Any project of your choice.
Yeah. Yes, Aman. I will take my recent project, TrageBot.
Okay.
Yeah, the TrageBot business perspectives. The use case is like, for example, if any software application team develop the product,
Yeah,
for example,
just
banking
uh,
application.
we will
Yeah,
we will keep it generic. Do not mention any client name or any confidential information. Okay.
yeah, sure,
Okay. Okay.
sure, Aman. Yeah, let's take one of the banking application. In that application, software team develop the application, then they will go for deployment. In the deployment phase, if they get in deployment after deployment, if they get any production issue, those defects and all raised in the ALM or ticketing, ALM or a Jira ticketing tool. After that, once the defect is raised for production issue, then those defects and all, those tickets and are taken care by the developers. Once developer the once ticket is raised, then developer and then SME and then tester will join the call and then find the root cause for the that particular defects. So it will if it is defect, some defects will take lot of time to get the root cause for the defects. Some defects we can easily find out. So assume that daily basis for banking application, in daily basis we are getting at least 10 to 15 defects daily basis we will get. For each and every defects, developer and SME and tester will join the call and then find the root cause. It will take for at least one defects it will take uh, 3 to 4 hours. Means if you have 15 defects, based on that the many developers we need and also SME we need to find the root cause for the particular defects. So the main objective of TrageBot is we collect the historical defects for the banking application, and then we'll get the historical who all are whatever defects we get, right? For that we are corresponding root cause we have. Maybe the root cause, the root cause may be coding issue, design issue, environment issue, uh, configuration issue. These are the root cause.
Mhm.
So our problem statement is classification. If any defects will do, you have to predict whether that defects is belongs to which category, whether the coding issue, data issue, configuration issue, environment issue. We have to find out.
As classification, you are saying.
Yeah, it is a classification problem.
Okay.
And then so our data is sitting in the ALM or Jira ticketing tool. With the help of Talent Job, we are we get the data from ALM tool, store it into MongoDB. From MongoDB, we'll get the data and we'll do the pre-processing. Our data is text data, defects under text data. For that, we will apply uh, pre-processing techniques. Like first one is we'll split the defect sentences to board with the help of tokenizer. then and then we apply the stop word removal, and then third one will apply lemmatization. With the help of lemmatization, we'll get the root word, we'll get the base word, and then we'll apply the we'll convert text text review. We'll convert text into numerical vector with the help of word to work, and then we'll split the data. In the total data, we'll split it into D-train, D-cross validation, and then T-test. With the help of D-train, we train the model. With the help of D-cross validation, we find the best hyperparameter value. With the help of cross validation, with the help of D-test, we'll report the model result, how good model is performing.
Okay.
And then we'll train multiple algorithm by changing hyperparameter value, and then we analyze the model report, how the model is performing with the help of performance matrix, and with the help of performance matrix. And then once we finalize the model, then we'll share the model result with on-site client team. Once they are satisfied with the model result, then we'll go for productionization. As part of productionization, we will use Flask framework. We deploy the model.
Okay. So in Flask framework, how will the prediction happen for the new record?
Yeah. That I said once today one defect is raised. Okay. Those with the help of talent job, the data is moved into MongoDB. From MongoDB to model will get the input as a defect. Then it will predict. So
okay.
So
it's a web-based framework which will automatically take the new data.
Yes, someone. Yeah.
Nobody will go and upload that data. It will automatically.
It automatically will get the data. Yeah.
So which model you are using here? Which machine learning algorithms?
Yeah, we have tried with naive Bayes, decision tree, and then random forest.
Okay.
But we are getting very good accuracy with the decision tree.
Okay.
Compared to others, yeah.
And so when you deploy the model, right, what are the parameters you are saving? For example, there will be a model file, there will be something related to what to vec. So with the new records, right, with the same vectorizer, the new records should be vectorized, right? So what I'm asking you is, tell me a little bit more about the deployment part. For example, once you train the model, from the coding perspective, from the Flask implementation perspective, what all is happening in Flask?
The prediction file, right? And the prediction file, we with the help of Mongo client, we get the data. After getting the data for prediction file, and then we'll do pre-processing for.
How are you doing? How are you doing pre-processing? I mean, from coding point of view,
the
how
help of code only. Yeah.
With the help of Python, right?
Coding point of view, will yes, with the help of Python, yeah.
So what I'm asking here is, suppose you are talking about tokenization, you are talking about stop word removal, you are talking about few other data cleaning techniques, right? So in test and train, both data cleaning should happen, right?
Yes. Yeah.
When I say test and train, means new data.
New data. Yeah. Okay.
Test means new data. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you taking care of that? I mean, let's say there is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 in while model training, right? So all these steps would happen in new data also, prediction data also, right? So how are you taking care of that part?
Once we get the once we get the data from MongoDB,
Right.
we'll do first. We will split the data into words. That is the first step of pre-processing for unseen data, test data.
Yeah.
And then we'll do we'll remove the stop words with the help of Python code only. Okay, and then we'll convert all the uppercase into lowercase. Then on top of it, it'll apply the.
So you will write the code for doing all these things, or you
Yeah.
will call a function.
We'll write the code. We are not calling any function. We write the code.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is same kind of cleaning is happening in train also, and same kind of cleaning is happening in new data also. Maybe all these things we can write in a function and call the function in both. That is what I was asking. Anyway, so once you train the model, then what are the outputs you are getting? Yeah, so we are at data cleaning now. So new data comes, cleaning happens. After that, what?
We'll convert the text in, we'll get the numerical vector. End of the pre-processing, we'll get the numerical vector. That
getting the numerical vector, right? For getting the numerical vector, I will either use a TF-IDF, or I will use a count vector azure, or I will use a what2vec or whatever, right? So is it a new what2vec object that you are using here, or the same object that you have used in train?
In the training, whatever object I used to forward to work, same object I will use.
Okay, what is the process? How did you do that? How did you pass that from test from there to here, that file to this file? You are getting my question, right?
Yes, with the help of pickle file.
Okay, so you wrote in the disk and then you read back in the different file, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then you get the new data and then you get the prediction. Okay, I mean, you run that on the model and get the prediction. So tell me one thing, what happens if a user enters a new word which the model has never seen? You got my question?
Yes, I got it. Yeah.
It is very much possible, right? It is all description. So somebody can write something which was never seen in the training data. So how the model is handling those words?
Not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And suppose you predict, right? And in the prediction, there are 100 records, okay? And out of 100 records, 25 records, I say configuration issue. 25 records, I say coding issue. 25 records, I say prediction I'm talking about, okay? 25 records, I say you have 4 classes, right? So 25 each. Now there is a possibility that there may be a misclassification. There is no way to know it is a misclassification, but I'm just saying there can be a wrong prediction. Possible, right?
Yes,
there can
possible.
None of the model will be 100% giving correct result.
Yes, correct.
So how do you take care of that part in your implementation? Okay, if you maybe you have not taken care of that part.
But when it comes to testing, right, Aman, sorry, with the help of test data, after training, and then D cross validation, D tested. In that, from that point of view itself, we'll come to know how much accuracy we are getting for with the help of training data. But in future, unseen data if any unseen data come, it is actually actually belongs to coding issue, environment issue. That scenario we didn't focus. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
focus. Yeah.
So I'm just telling you from my experience, okay?
Mhm.
Any classification problem you solve, okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
or let's say any model, right? So
Mhm.
if there is some kind of misclassification or some kind of incorrect result, right?
Mhm.
So nowadays businesses are not okay in accepting. So think from business point of view, okay? This is a
Okay.
simple use case. You are analyzing the ticket. If you take a sensitive use case, for example, credit card fraud, right? And
Mhm.
then you say that something which is fraud, and you by mistake say non-fraud.
Mhm.
That's a problem. So what should happen is that learning should be fed back into the model by doing something, okay?
Mhm. Mhm.
And that mechanism has to be there at least
Okay.
in the starting phase of the implementation,
Mhm.
so that we give some 4 months 6 months time for model to even sharpen its ability to learn, because everything we cannot pass in the training,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So coming back to your decision tree,
Mhm.
in your decision trees, did
Mhm.
you not face overfitting problem? You are saying it gave good results because decision tree tend to overfit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You did not face that problem.
No, man. When
So how do you
uh,
say that model is balanced or model is not overfitting? How do you check that? So do you know what is cross validation concept, since you have used cross validation in your model? So what is the concept of cross validation?
yeah, the cross validation, it will find the best hyperparameter for decision tree, like how many decision tree we have to use, and then uh, how many records we have each and every decision tree. Those things and all, it will find out how many max, um, minimum sample leaf, and then minimum sample to split, and then max depth. It will find the uh, it will find the correct hyperparameter for that. We'll get the correct hyperparameter with the help of cross validation.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you tried random forest also in this case.
Yes, yeah.
So tell me how random forest is. What are the advantages of random forest over decision tree?
Uh, in decision tree, we have only one decision tree.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to random forest, we have multiple decision tree with in the random forest, each and every decision tree have subset of, it will see the subset of data. So, uh, so he, once we split each and every decision tree have some, so we'll see the, it will get this with the help of mean sampling, it will get this some subset of data, each and edition tree will get, and then it will train, and then end will do the aggregation. With the help of aggregation, we will get the majority vote, which is majority, which what is the output of decision tree. Based on that, we will will predict the root cause.
So when you say subset, then how is this subset calculated? I mean, how the subset will be created? For example, I start with a record on 1000 rows and 10 columns. That is my training data, 1000 rows and 10 columns. So when you say subset, then how many rows and how many columns?
Yeah, I got your question.
Are you aware of any other? Yeah, you're saying something.
No, it will take randomly with the help of with the help of bootstrap sampling. It will take automatically random rows, all the columns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the difference between bagging and boosting?
Random forest.
In generic, bagging and boosting. For example, you can take random forest versus ADA boost or random forest versus gradient boost. What are the high level differences between these two techniques?
Yeah. In bagging, we have multiple decision tree. Sorry, in bagging, we are using bagging is for we'll use random forest. Boosting is for gradient decision tree. ADA boost. Boosting is ADA boost and GBDT, gradient boosting decision tree. In boosting, we have multiple decision tree we can parallelly train all the decision tree, will get the output. When it comes to boosting, right, one decision tree is completed. From that output, from the output of first decision tree, second decision tree will get output. That output is called as a pseudo residual. With the help of pseudo residual, from the first decision tree will get the pseudo residual. Second decision tree will get pseudo residual output of first one. Based on that, it will one after another it will run. That is the major difference between gradient boosting and
Bagging and boosting.
Bagging and boosting. Yeah.
Okay. So on stats and mathematics fundamentals, how much would you rate yourself out of 10, 10 being maximum?
I can write it as 5.
Okay. So you spoke about you used random forest and diffusion tree and Naive Bayes, right? So can you tell me what is meant by prior probability and posterior probability? Or if you can tell me how Naive Bayes works, or what is the Naive Bayes formula, Bayes theorem?
Bayes theorem, right?
Yeah.
Naive Bayes that formula is posterior equal to prior and posterior equal to prior into likelihood divided by evidence. With the help of Naive Bayes, we are calculating the likelihood. Then we'll get the probability value for each and every class, based on which class is getting highest value. So that we can which is giving most probability only, that is our target variable. That is my predicted variable.
Okay.
Mhm.
And in Bayes theorem, there are some assumptions. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
In Bayes theorem?
It's a conditional independence of all features.
Yeah. Conditional independence of all features.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in generic, can you give me one real world example of conditional probability and how to compute it?
For example, whether patient have cancer or not cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so it will it will calculate both the condition. It will calculate most accuracy, that is given as a target. That is my predicted value.
Mm.
So shall I give the example for my review text data?
You can give any example of conditional probability, what it means and what is the formula for it. For example,
Yeah.
probability A given B, right? A slash
Mhm.
B. That is how we write conditional probability.
Mhm.
So some example of that and what is the formula?
Yeah. So so I said right in the beginning, condition naive Bayes means posterior equal to likelihood into period divided by evidence. Evidence is common for all the probability, so we can eliminate that. So we for each and every scenario, sorry, each and every classes. For example, my data 4 classes like data issue, coding issue, environment issue, configuration issue. For this 4 probability, I have to calculate. I have to calculate prior and as well as I have to calculate for likelihood. Likelihood is likelihood formulas. For example, give probability of given xi, probability of xi given class label equal to number of data points, number of dat, data points which contain wi divided by total number of data points which contain wi with the class label equal to data issue divided by total number of points. That is likelihood. Then
Mm-hmm.
prior means prior, that is target variable. Probability of y equal to probability of y equal to coding issue equal to number of data points which contain y equal to divided by total number of points.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in mathematics, are you aware of the concept of tangent?
Yeah, that is, yeah, tangent. With the help of tangent, we will find the global, that is slope. Tangent is a slope.
So
There,
what is the intuition behind tangent? For example, tangent slope of the tangent will have some value, right?
Mhm.
So what is the significance of that? You said right, we will find the global minima, global maxima. That is the implementation part of tangent. But
Mhm.
if I say that it has a negative slope and it has a positive slope at
Mhm.
some point in a
Mhm.
curve,
Mhm.
then what is the meaning of that? Think and tell me. There is a curve. On some point, I draw a tangent and I say that slope of this tangent is positive or negative. What is the meaning of that?
Meeting, we can say like we are getting the minima value in the negative side of, if it is getting, we are getting negative value, where negative value as a slope. In the graph, we can say that is negative side of slope.
Hmm.
But if you are getting positive, I'm not sure how to explain that. I'm
So
not the
this is
concept.
related to derivative, or if you can recollect the concept of differentiation or derivative that you learned on +2 and 10th. This is related to that. So dy by dx, right? So the meaning of
Derivative
dy,
only will come to,
yeah.
yeah, dy by
So that is what I'm asking. Negative value and positive value.
no, with the help of derivative only we are getting positive or negative value, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not able to give
What
in
is the
the,
meaning of that, right?
yeah.
That is fine. You can just read little bit about that.
Mhm.
So we will talk about your Python skills.
Okay.
How much out of 10 in Python?
Out, I can rate it as a 5.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what are the different things you have done in Python?
About what are the libraries we have used in our project that you are asking, or else?
No. In general, for example, you have done data pre-processing, some kind of
Mhm.
automation, some model building, some model deployment. These things you have done, right?
Mhm.
That is what I was asking. So
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
must have used functions in Python, right?
Yes, Aman. Yeah.
So tell me the difference between keyword argument and positional argument. Argument, in function, what are arguments?
Yeah. With the help of argument only, we are passing the value. That
Yeah,
value inside the function we are using. That is
right.
arguments. We have default arguments, and or else with the help of variable we can pass the value. If you use argument, I'm not sure about the difference.
Okay. It's very simple. So when you're defining the function and you say, for example, you say calculate BMI. Okay. For example, you are defining a function calculate BMI. BMI is nothing but body mass index. So let's say we pass height and weight in that. So while defining function, you can say height and height comma weight. Okay. So this is your keyword argument. Height something is equal to something you give, and then while calling the function, you will say height is equal to this and weight is equal to this. So function will expect that you will pass keyword when you call that function. That is keyword argument.
Okay.
And suppose you just pass the argument one after another. For example, height you pass 12 and weight you pass some 10. 12 comma 10 also you can write. So one way of writing is 12 comma 10. Other way of writing is height is equal to 12 and weight is equal to 10.
Okay.
So when you write height is equal to 12 and weight is equal to 10, that is a keyword argument.
Okay.
And when you just comma one value, comma another value, that is positional argument.
Inside the function, after function, the parenthesis you are talking about, or
Yeah,
separate
when you are calling the function.
when you are calling the function?
And same way you have to define while define. Yeah, inside the parenthesis to answer your question. Okay.
Instead of pass, so if you give variable height, weight equal to value, that is
Keyword
keyword
argument.
argument.
Yeah,
Positional argument means, can you
just
explain
by
once?
comma.
Just a comma. Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
And have you used dictionaries in Python?
Yes, Aman. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you get all the values from the dictionary in a list? For example, I have a dictionary, in that I have key value, 100 entries. I want all the values in a list. How can I do that? Not the keys, just the values.
In for loop, yeah, for
Yeah.
for value comma key uh, uh, in dictionary name dot items, and then if value not in the list, if value not in the list, then list name dot append value, and then result, yeah, with the help of list name dot append, I'm passing the value. That list will have dictionary value.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you must have used lambda functions in Python.
Yes, Aman.
So tell me the syntax of creating a new column in a pandas data frame using lambda function. So there are, in the existing data frame, there is let's say 2 columns, X and Y. I want to create a new column where X multiplied by Y. How to create that column?
Oh, 1 minute, Aman.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking. Yeah. S comma y, s comma, sorry, x y equal to x square equal lambda x comma y colon that s comma y. If I give the if actually the syntax is xy equal to lambda of x comma y colon x comma y, it will get, it will do the not x comma y into, sorry,
Data frame dot apply lambda, right? Df dot apply lambda. After that,
lambda s comma y colon
okay,
x into y.
okay. And how it will know which is X and which is Y? Because you have to pass that column, right?
Yeah, that
It will directly not be able to access by column, just by column name. For example,
okay.
if you say X is your column name and Y is your column name, so will it be
Okay.
able to access just by the name? I don't think so.
I just know the syntax only. I mean,
That's fine. I'm thinking it might be X comma, no, it might be your, inside that you have to reference with data frame object actually.
okay. Oh, with that column name.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or there would be a simpler way of doing that. You can pass, you can just take the product in a separate way. I mean, no need of lambda also. Just multiply these two columns.
Yeah,
Simpler way.
But whatever lambda operation is going to do multiply, right? That operation, whatever I said, that is correct, right?
That is, I think, correct. Only one thing I'm doubtful, will it be able to access by just multiplication of columns? That
Yeah,
may
okay.
not
Yeah,
be able
yeah,
to access.
yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, that I got it. Yeah.
Or data frame dollar apply lambda
Mhm.
x. So x is your data. Not don't write x. Just say lambda z. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
z is your data frame, and then is equal to z bigger bracket your x column multiplied by z bigger bracket your y column.
Okay. Mhm.
That might work. A comma axis is equal to 1.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. So lambda, and what is the generic syntax for map function? Can you tell me? I want to map, for example, there is a list, right?
Mhm.
I want to get the square of all the numbers in a list.
Mhm.
So how do I do that? Using map function. There is a list. I want to square all the numbers using a map function.
Yeah. For example, square is my variable name. Square equal to list of map. In that, I am calling the list function. Function is going to do square of all the values. That function I am separately writing. That's I'm writing that function. Whatever the one by value I'm getting, it will return x square. That function is separate. That function is calling in our map function. And the result we are getting square value is stored in my square variable.
I got it. So you have a separate function which is squaring. Then
Mhm.
and what is the map you are calling?
Map, right? Map of list comma that function name.
No, no, no. Other way around. That
Function name
function.
comma
Yeah,
list name. Yeah.
yeah. Other way around. So
Mhm.
your function first, and then your object on which you want to operate.
Okay. Yeah.
See, the reason I'm asking these things is nowadays people are taking most of the places MCQ or some online test or some Python test. So we get from internet. I also agree with that.
Mhm.
Other day I was talking to one person. He was telling me, why are you asking me all this? We get from internet. I agree with that.
Mhm.
We get from internet. But the
No,
thing is,
actually, based on their interior mindset, we will get any questions, right? We
yeah,
cannot, yeah.
but sometimes I have seen in some of the interviews people asking simple things, and because people are in habit of copying from internet, which is not a bad thing. So
Mhm.
sometimes they tend to confuse on small things also.
Yeah.
So that is the reason you or me or anybody who is working on coding, right? So they should remember some basic stuff. Sometimes you tend to forget simple for loop or while loop syntax.
Mhm.
Sometimes some people tend to forget how to declare a list in Python.
Mhm.
Simple things. It's not that they don't know or they have not done that. They have done that since years now, but since they are not in a habit of writing, so we will get the code from Google. But if we kind of tend to at least write something on our own, that is also good. That is why I ask people these things.
Yeah, yeah. I also, it's a very basic question only. But I attended few interviews. They are asking basic things only. Sometimes I am not able to give
Yeah,
the
yeah,
correct syntax.
yeah. that
I
that
understand.
might
Yeah.
create a wrong impression.
Yeah.
that
Correct.
that
Yeah.
might give, see, these guys, if I'm interviewing you, I have just 40 minutes to 45 minutes to 1 hour to know about you, right? So
Yeah.
if some bad impression you give, then people might take call on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you might be knowing many things, but people might take call on that.
Yeah.
So I will just ask you one last thing, one scenario based question. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, I have a unfold data science viewership. Okay. Data.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. and I have the data of how many people are watching every day, how many people are watching from which countries, what type of videos are being watched more. So I can sort which video is, more number of views, which video is less number of views. I can see people's comments. I can see many things in YouTube analytics. Okay. So I
Okay.
come to you and I tell to you, Anand, take all my data and free of cost, as you are my friend. So help me in growing my YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
So I may come to you. So just be prepared for that. I will give you all my data of YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
And what kind of analysis you will do. So whatever data you can think of, that data
Mhm.
YouTube will give. Okay. For example,
Okay.
viewership, comments, or country wise viewership, male, female viewership, how much time people are watching your videos, all these data you will get. Okay. So
Okay.
considering many data sources,
Mhm.
what are the different analysis you will do on my YouTube channel, that will help to grow my audience or grow the channel like that.
Okay. Uh, I will categorize with the help of your data, right? I will come to know. I will group the. I will group with the help of cluster. I will group the data. What are the topics? What are the topics you have covered in your YouTube channel? That I will separate group by group by. I will with the help of group by. I will separate the data. From that group, I will analyze which group is most liked by uh, YouTubers, who is most, which cluster user is like. Based on that, I will suggest you to I suggest you to create more video on that topic. This is the one scenario, because those top, let us assume in your YouTube channel, uh, most people are liking, one group of people more like your deep learning concept means, then I will suggest you to create more deep learning concept. That is one objective.
Okay, that is one use case. Anything else?
Mhm. Yeah, and then based on the review comments, what are the, with the help of review comments, I can come to know which area I can separate the data into positive review comments and negative review comments. Whatever the review comments positive is given by user, that I will take it as a positive. If any negative review comments will come, those things I will incorporate in my future videos by including positive review comments.
Okay.
That is one use case. With the help of review comments, I will analyze.
Okay.
And then
Okay, that's
uh,
that's good. Two different. Yeah, you're saying something.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
so far.
Yeah, two good use cases you told.
Mhm.
That's fine. So I will take a pause here and I will just pass some feedbacks,
Mhm.
the audience benefit and for you as well. Okay. So
Okay.
first part of the interview, first 10 minutes, right?
Mhm.
I saw some kind of nervousness in you, some bit of nervousness.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know
Mhm.
what might be the reason, but don't keep any place for nervousness. That's what I'm telling you. Even if
Mhm.
you are going for, to meet Prime Minister Modi, do not keep any nervousness, because
Yeah.
you are you. Okay. So
Mhm.
you, so think like that. There is a education that you are gone through. There is a family that you are part of. There is a company you are working, and there are things that you know. There are many things about you which you can do 100 times better than anybody else can do. It may be a car driving, it may be swimming, it may be cooking, right? So
Okay.
and everybody is special and everybody is giving their best, doing their best. So nothing to be thinking like somebody knows more than me or somebody knows everything or things like that. So what I'm coming here to say is, no, whoever it is, it's me or it's anybody, no place of being nervous. So me and you are not at the, see why I'm telling you this is, we are showing 9 year 10 years experience, right, in the market. We are not freshers. These things
Yeah.
are okay for, in one way, acceptable for freshers, but for 10-year guy, if you go to market and if you claim to be a data scientist, you ask for a very good package, right? Very good package. And if somebody gives you that much of money, then you need to improve your presentation and you need to improve your comm skills. You need to make your comm skills very very effective. Okay,
Okay.
effective comm skills, there is no place for nervousness and those things. Okay, that is one part. And it became okay in the later part of the interview, but first 10-15 minutes I could see a little bit of that. So just
Okay.
just take my words on that and don't feel nervous. Anybody, not only me. Tomorrow you go to Sachin Bansal for Flipkart interview, that is also fine.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Mhm.
technically, you are able to answer most of the things apart from few things, that is fine. Anybody, if somebody interviews me also, I will also be not able to answer few things, that is okay. But whenever somebody asks you how much would you rate yourself out of 10, then I think 5 is a very very underconfident answer. At least say 7 or something. If you are not very confident, say 7. Because if you
Okay.
if you yourself say 5 na, the impression goes ki this person is not confident on himself only.
Okay.
You said Python also 5, but you
Mhm.
are able to explain me lambda function, you are able to explain me list comprehension, you are able to explain me how for loop will work, you are remembering many syntaxes, you are saying dict dot keys, key value, dict dot values, append. All these are nothing but syntax. If somebody remembers, means they have worked hands on. Okay, and if you have worked hands on, then there is no reason of saying 5. At least say 7. Okay, I would say
Okay.
8.
Okay, man. Okay. Mhm.
Don't undermine yourself. You are able to answer most of the questions in Python, lambda syntax, this thing, that thing, everything.
Mhm.
Things will be here and there, don't worry about that. And the stats part also, you are able to explain me prior probability, these things, conditional, apart from few things here and there, you are able to explain me. So maybe you need to brush up little bit. And also I know you are unprepared, just after the office you have come to the market, you will go prepared, that is fine. But answer those things with confidence, and you know things, that's what I'm saying. You know things. If you put a tarka of confidence, that is what interviewer is interested in. Okay, and machine learning part
Okay,
also,
man. Yeah. 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 Well.
machine
Mhm.
learning part also, you are able to
Mhm.
answer most of the things. Few places, for example, random forest may how subsetting is done, these things maybe you are not able to recall or something. So you can just go through the basics, brush up the basics before going for interview.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
all
Yeah.
in all, you are good, there is no doubt about that. Work wise
Mhm.
also, you have done good work. You
Mhm.
are able to answer questions. Just 2-3 things what I told you. Have little
Mhm.
more confidence.
Okay.
Do not rate yourself low when somebody asks you how much would you rate yourself.
Okay.
And third is, nobody is superior to you, keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
everybody is like you and me, everybody is doing some mistakes, learning, everybody is learning. So
Mhm.
anybody comes for to take your interview, don't
Mhm.
feel that this guy knows more than me or this guy is great or something.
Mhm.
Maybe he has a little more experience, maybe he has worked for few more years than you, so he
Mhm.
knows things, maybe few things you know better than him.
Mhm.
So keep these things in mind, and then technical things anyway, it's always scope for improvement for all of us, right? So we can keep improving on that.
Okay. Okay.
So that
Yeah.
is my overall feedback. Any question for me, Anand? And how did you like the process?
Yeah. It's very, I feel like real interview, how the real interview will happen. That
Yeah,
way you are organized from top to bottom.
yeah,
First, yeah, I like um, I like your feedback and the way you structure the interview process. That is very good. That
yeah,
is very useful for me to go for next level of interview for companies. It will very good for me. I will keep in mind like whatever feedback you given. First one is don't showcase your fear, and then second don't underestimate yourself. Give them more
yeah,
rating on your technicals,
yeah,
and then I have to be prepared for. I have to brush up everything
yeah.
for yeah.
Because if you brush up, I'm sure you are 7 or 8 in Python and 7 or 8 in stats also. Don't
Mhm.
say 9, 10. I'm not saying. Be little moderate only. 7
Mhm.
like that.
Okay, okay, yeah, sure.
And
And
that is the reason for creating these interviews, because
mhm,
people will learn. See, this is a new thing that everybody learned today, right?
mhm,
Maybe
yeah, yeah.
tomorrow, if you would have gone for a real interview also, then you would have said 5. Now you
Mhm,
will not say, right?
mhm,
So
yeah,
this is learning for not only you but people who are watching also. And the reason I do these interviews is it is beneficial for many people, right?
yeah, definitely, yeah. And one more thing, Aman, shall we stop the recording? Shall we discuss further?
Yeah, so I am just stopping the recording.